What's going on, guys? This is my post-ride review of the Kawasaki ZX6R, aka the 636. I gotta send a huge shout out to Hunter, Tommy, and the rest of the gang over at Stub Cycles for allowing me the opportunity to throw a leg over this machine and bring it to you. All right, so a lot of you guys have been saying that if I'm going to bestow all of this lavish praise over the GSX-R family of middleweights, the 600 and the 750, that I had better have experience with the Kawasaki 636 so I can have at least an anchor from which to port my thoughts on those two other bikes. Guys, y'all were exactly right. Listen, the Kawasaki 636 is an amazing machine. A lot of y'all will tell me that it's the best in the class. Now, I don't know if I'd go so far as to say that, but it is awfully good, and I can understand why so many people gravitate toward that bike and why it is one of Kawasaki's top-selling machines. So what makes it so great? Well, let's dive into it. First of all, in the category, it's got, well, a TFT screen, and that's all you need to say for some folks. Old school analog clocks are great and all, but nothing beats the clarity of the TFT screen that's on the 636. Full stop. And with that technology suite comes a quick shifter. Guys, it is a one direction only quick shifter. You are the blipper on downshift, but I gotta tell you, it is really good. And what aids you on blipping downshifts is some of the best throttle response in the business. I'm gonna put a link in the description below to my ride along video so you can catch my reactions to that bike in real time, but pay attention to my blip downshifts. It is so good and so fun. It rewards your good technique. Just watch the video and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. That was one of the most endearing parts of that bike, if I'm being honest with you. So let's get into the engine and how this motorcycle performs. The basic way that I would put it to you is that it's got the initial throttle hit of any 600 that you've ever ridden. It's just that it builds power up to the right-hand side of the tack to a point where it's eerily similar in terms of power output from a feel point of view to the GSX-R 750. Now, that might be because it's more aggressively geared, it's got a higher RPM window, but that's really not the point. The bike is making great power across the board, whether you're trying to compare it to a 600, where it seems to have, well, about 5% or more power, basically because it's a 5% larger engine, or if you're trying to compare it to the GSX-R 750, it's a little bit too close for comfort, if you ask me, once you start revving it out to the 750. That's how good it is. And so with a very smooth power output, very strong throttle response, and good power across the board, what else can I say? It really is that good. Now, actually riding the machine, just because we could go off of the specs and I can tell you how it feels to ride in that respect, but there's a bit of a party trick that the ZX6 has, and that is in its ergonomics. And it's the way that this bike feels underfoot, so to speak. I'm about 6 feet tall, 32-inch inseam, and you know, the bike just feels good all the way around. With my feet on the ground, the bike feels very controlled, but it's the foot placement that I noticed to be extremely comfortable. It didn't seem overly committed. It's still a sport bike, don't get me wrong. It's gonna be aggressive, but it would feel to me like it can accommodate a significantly taller rider. And because of that, this bike becomes a lot more versatile. It's not just some compact race replica. This is a bike that was actually pretty comfortable. The way that my hands rested onto the handlebars felt extremely natural. The wind protection coming around me was very good. In fact, in the ride-along video, notice how clear the audio is. And I'm not doing anything different. That's just how good that bike is moving air around me. So again, one of these things that you can't find on a spec sheet that you'll notice when you're riding this bike. Now, the big question is it better than the Gixxer family of middleweights? I'm gonna leave the Honda out of this again because it just seems like it's a smaller race replica type bike, and really want to talk about the Gixxers versus the Kawasaki because in terms of ergonomics, they really are the closest. Well, in terms of ergonomics, the Gixxer is extremely close, but it also has, from the factory, adjustable rear sets. The ZX6R feels like the Suzuki's if you drop the rear sets to their lowest setting. So there is versatility there. The GSX-Rs, though, do not have a quick shifter, and I get it. There's a lot of guys out there that if it doesn't have a quick shifter, they're not going to be interested. Now, look, there was a point in time where I would argue that point a little bit, but now that I've been riding a lot more bikes and doing a lot more ride reviews, I'll be honest, I become a little bit jaded, and I view not having a quick shifter now as maybe a little bit of a deficit. I'm not going to say it's a demarcation, but it's definitely something to note. And with the Gixxers not having one, although they are available from the aftermarket, that just, well, it's going to add cost and complexity and just another step in the road. And so for the Kawasaki to already have those features, and these are features that a lot of guys will not do without, when I'm talking about features, I mean the quick shifter, the TFT screen, I gotta say, those are big marks in favor of the Kawasaki, especially when you start looking at the price of the thing. Kawasaki's checking in at about $11,700 MSRP in the States. That's just a little bit more than a Gixxer 600 and a lot less expensive than a Gixxer 750. Now look, say what you will about the 636 versus the 600, most guys will line it up against the 750. And with at least $1,500 separating the two bikes, I gotta say, it's making the 636 look even that much better. It does not, the Kawasaki that is, does not have that initial torque hit, and it doesn't rip power out like the 750 does. And realistically though, for the 750 to be able to go head to head with the 636, it almost has to have a quick shifter installed on it. See what I'm saying here? Extra steps, extra cost. These are things I'm doing to my 750 that are already done to the 636. So anyway, at the end of the day, I'll just say this. The 636 is an amazing bike. I wouldn't trade my 750 for one. I like the GSX-R 750 because it is a bit more old school and, well, let's be honest, I've already owned it. But here's the thing. For those of you that might be playing one against the other, you've got to ride them both. Pick the bike that you like the best. And I got to tell you, your choice will be correct either way you go. And with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Post up in the description below or in the comments below what you think about this video. What do you think about those two bikes? In the description below, again, there will be a link to the ride along video. Check it out. Let me know what you think about that. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.